What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. Got a lot going on here today for you guys. If I sound a little bit sick, it's because I am. The amazing side effects of having a preschooler. Our son Julian has gone to school now for a few weeks and he's gotten sick twice already. He hasn't gone to school this whole week. And yeah, so unfortunately, me and Laura have caught this one from him. So yeah, it's this is kind of the real world effects of having a preschooler. So yeah. Not nearly as bad as what Florida is going through, as millions of people are dealing with the effects of Hurricane Ian. Here's the latest. Take a quick look.
Right to the latest on the devastation from Ian. It is cutting a path through Florida right now after making landfall as a devastating Category 4 hurricane.
There's the radar right now. You can see that storm is on the move. Overnight, Orlando getting hit with so much rain, it was a 1,000-year flood event for that area. And look at this in Daytona Beach earlier. Watch as the wind, ferocious winds, knock over the camera there.
Wow, and here's what we know so far. Ian is now a tropical storm, but it's still packing winds topping 65 miles per hour, and that wind is crushing the power grid with more than 2.5 million customers without power. The threat of the storm now stretching beyond the Sunshine State, with North and South Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia also now under a state of emergency.
We have team coverage across the storm zone, and we start off with Ginger Z in Fort Myers. Good morning, Ginger.
Michael, it was an unbelievable 24 hours that we just spent inside Ian. So I want you to look right behind me. This is from the pool deck, and you've got little footbridges. All of this, by the way, is in the front of the hotel that came from the back of the hotel. The power of water is so insane, and I think so many people, unfortunately, had to learn that lesson in Southwest Florida yesterday.
This morning, coastal Southwest Florida decimated. Ferocious Hurricane Ian shredding parts of the peninsula. The Category 4 storm making history as one of the most powerful hurricanes to ever make landfall in the Sunshine State.
The amount of water that's been rising and will likely continue to rise today, even as the storm is passing, is basically a 500-year flood event.
Ian slicing onto the coast Wednesday afternoon on the Barrier Islands near Fort Myers. Winds up to 140 miles per hour ripping apart homes, sending debris like projectiles. Surge pushing water laced with rubble through the streets. Ian also carried life-threatening and record storm surge. The ocean overtaking the land. Overnight, more than 2 million customers throughout the state losing power.
That's my grandparents' house.
In Fort Myers Beach, many waking up to find they've lost almost everything.
Somebody's RV came in our backyard. That's our pool. That's our deck. That was my house. My house is gone.
This neighborhood turning into an extension of the Gulf. Streets consumed by water, cars submerged, buildings shredded. These trees barely hanging on.
We are beginning to get a sense that our community has been, in some respects, decimated.
This floating debris was once someone's house. WINK-TV in Fort Myers forced off the air after water submerged their newsroom. Down in Naples, car alarms going off as storm surge inundates this parking garage. Water seeping into the first floor of this hospital in Port Charlotte. And in Tampa, powerful winds sending this tree into a home. The hurricane also one of the top 10 to make landfall in the U.S., roaring ashore near Kio Costa, carrying 150-mile-per-hour winds. About an hour later, making landfall a second time onto Florida's mainland south of Punta Gorda. As the winds shifted, we were right there in Ian's eye wall, the storm surge showing its power.
Well, the storm surge is flexing. We're about an hour into being in this eye wall. The storm is moving north of us, but we see these winds, and that little house that we were talking about all day has gone. Succumbed to the storm surge. Now the blue roof is all that's left floating in the water toward the building.
2.5 million Floridians under some sort of evacuation order, but many chose to stay, first responders battling the apocalyptic conditions to rescue them. Members of the Naples Fire Department wading through waist-deep water, unloading a fire truck after it started to smoke. Up in the air, hurricane hunters flying inside Ian to gather more critical data, shaken by the extreme turbulence.
There goes the fence. Holy cow.
One of them describing it as the roughest flight of his entire career. And back at our hotel, just across from Sanibel Island.
7 hours in the eye wall of this hurricane, and it's finally starting to lighten up enough that I can get out here and show you the surge has gone off. You can see the pool again, just barely seeing the causeway, but that causeway goes to Sanibel, and the reports we've heard is that it is decimated.
Ian isn't done yet. As Southwest Florida picks up the pieces, the danger is far from over. That storm heading north.
With the dawn of destruction around us, so many people's livelihoods washed by that powerful water and surge, and that was pushed by the wind. Let me show you the before and during picture, because this is not the after. I anticipate that we had a 12-plus foot surge, which was exactly what the warning was for. Unfortunately, that came true in so many places, and that was driven by those winds. Wow, 140 miles per hour. You had 107 in Sanibel, and I think that's before they ended up losing whatever observation they have. I'm looking around now that I can see some light. These trees are destroyed. They are taken from the top. Big ones that have been here forever are down. I want to make sure you know about the flash flood emergency that is happening just north of Orlando. More than 16 inches of rain already reported. And this is just the beginning of the next part of Ian, because we will see wraparound that will bring storm surge to places like Savannah and Charleston after Ian exits this Florida peninsula.
Yeah, this one is a really bad one. I remember reporting on this before it happened. I seen a lot of people saying, "Jimmy, you're just fear mongering. This isn't going to be one of the worst storms of the decade." And unfortunately, it was. Um, this isn't one of the times that I prefer to be right. Um, but this is just unfortunate. Um, Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And please, if you're in Florida, if you have any friends or family in Florida, let us know down below in the comment section. Let our YouTube community know how you are. I know that we have probably thousands of people that watch our channel that are in the Florida area. And now even in the coast of going to be in the path of this hurricane. Please let us know how you are, if you evacuated, if you stayed. I know we have a lot of family members, YouTube family members here in the path. Let us know how you are if you have internet access. Please let us know how you are, how you're doing, and what your well-being is. We want to know how you're doing. So please let us know. Let us know what city you're in, and let us know the state of affairs of your residence and your city. It's really, really bad. I'll keep you up to date here on what the president says and what FEMA says and what happened. I mean, this is literally happening to almost the entire state of Florida, and now we're going to see other states affected as well. We're probably talking about tens of millions of people here going to be affected, and they have already started to search for missing people as well. So there's almost certainly going to be casualties and lost, and certainly billions and billions of dollars of damage as well. Another thing that's really brewing up to be the next major disaster is this Russia-Ukraine incident. Russia is going to be declaring their victory over the sham election, where up to 99% of Ukrainians voted under duress and by gunpoint, apparently voted to become part of Russia, even though they had to vote via military Russians standing there with AKs. And then Russia went off and counted the votes on their own, and up to 99% of the votes, Russia says, voted for Russia to become part of Russia. So Russia's going to annex massive thousands and thousands of parts of Ukraine and just declare that they're now part of Russia. This is going to happen here as early as potentially tomorrow. And this is where it's going to get very concerning for the world. Russia says that they can defend this territory, which will now be part of Russia, with any means necessary, including nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs, any means necessary. If there's any fighting that occurs on this land, which will now be part of Mother Russia, they won't tolerate that. Well, Ukraine is not going to just give it up. So there's almost certainly going to be fighting on this land. And then look at this. We have now discovered here that Russia has ordered an urgent purchase of a large batch of iodine. Let me know if you know what that means. My wife actually found this in her daily research. And luckily she didn't pass this over because this is starting to become more and more scary. Russia orders urgent purchase of large batch of iodine amid Putin's nuclear threats. Iodine is used to be treated or used to treat people amid nuclear fallout. You can see here, being reported by Yahoo and multiple news outlets, the Kremlin has urgently decided to purchase a large batch of potassium iodide. The tender was announced amid threats by Russian dictator Vladimir Putin to use nuclear weapons. Putin and Russia have openly made these threats. It's not a secret. They've made this to the US, they've made this to NATO, they've made this to Ukraine. The website states that iodine is planned to be purchased for almost 5 million ruble, about 86,000 US dollars at the current exchange rate. Only 4 days are allocated for the procurement procedure. The Russian government agencies stress that the purchase of potassium iodide for the population is carried out annually. According to the Russian media, Kommersant, in late December 2020 and March 2021, tenders for the purchase of the drug, approximately the same amount, were placed in the system. The only difference is the urgency now of this tender. Potassium iodide preparations protect the thyroid gland so that radioactive iodine does not negatively affect the human body. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, after announcing mobilization in Russia on September 21st, once again threatened Western countries with the use of nuclear weapons, stressing that, quote, it was not a bluff. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated that the Russian military doctrine, including the rules of nuclear weapons use, would extend to Ukrainian territories Russia is currently looking to annex via these sham referendum votes that Russia has now declared are official, as outlined in the Russian Constitution. The White House has said that Washington has warned the Kremlin of, quote, severe, serious consequences in the event of the use of nuclear weapons against Ukraine and together with its allies, and is ready to give a decisive response. We don't know what that will be. So, one more piece of the puzzle. Again, you got to kind of take this stuff seriously. If you're just kind of looking at all the pieces of what's happening, just go back here a week ago. Russia holds these sham votes. The world already knows what's going to happen here. Russia's going to declare themselves a victor. Lo and behold, there's 4 different votes. 99% of them, in some of them, Russia says that 99% of the Ukrainians voted for Russia. I mean, in what election does that even happen, right? Nonetheless, so now Russia's going to declare themselves the victor, and it's going to basically take thousands and thousands of miles of Ukraine and now just make them part of Russia. Okay? That's going to happen as early as tomorrow. And then Russia's just going to claim this territory as their own. And once that happens, Russia's going to say if there's any fighting on this territory, we have to defend this with any means necessary. Well, up until this point, they've used any means necessary already, except for nuclear bombs. I mean, they already have hundreds of thousands of troops there. They're already using all their military equipment except for nuclear bombs. So they're already using everything except for maybe chemical warfare, which is nasty, and maybe nuclear bombs. So what else is left? And they're already, it's already been a back and forth thing. I mean, Ukraine just took over 6,000 kilometers back from them. So they've been kind of losing the war recently. Putin had to draft 300,000 people from their draft system. So, I mean, it's not going well for them. So what are they going to use any means necessary? I mean, you tell me your thoughts. What do you think they're going to do? They're literally every other day saying, we're going to use nukes. We're going to use nukes. We're going to use nukes. We hope that they don't, but they keep saying they're going to. Now they're ordering this iodine, which is what you would use if there's a nuclear fallout to help prevent. It's just like, and if this happens, stock markets around the world are going to crash. They're going to literally close. And then what happens after that? World War III? Is the U.S. involved in there? And it's not like, oh, we can take them out. We have more firepower than them. All of NATO, which is true. I mean, Russia's having a problem with just Ukraine and NATO's 30 countries. But the problem here is that Russia has 6,000 nuclear bombs. Think of the devastation of just what one of them does. A nuclear exchange, if they just fire one nuclear bomb and it gets through to the U.S., imagine if one nuclear bomb got through to California or Hawaii or New York or Texas or anywhere. I mean, they have bombs. They got nukes that can shoot thousands of miles. I mean, again, it's not an issue of who can shoot farther, who has. Again, they have 6,000 of them. Imagine if just one gets through. This is why, up until this point, no other country has sent men into Ukraine to fight on Ukraine's behalf. They've just sent aid and weapons and said, okay, Ukraine, go and fight. Here's the supplies. Go ahead and fight them off. This is your war. We'll aid you. We'll help you with supplies and stuff. But this isn't something that the world wants. This isn't something that we want. This isn't something that really Russia wants. But the problem is Putin's one of those guys like Hitler that just can't see losing. And if he can't see losing, he had a quote here recently, or Russian state TV here. This is how some of them think here. Russian state TV tells viewers, quote, we're all going to die someday over nuclear threat. So, and again, Russian state TV it's like it's very controlled. They only say what they're allowed to say. So it's So think about this. We're all going to die someday over the nuclear threat. So, quote, but it is what it is. Personally, I think that is what the most realistic way is, the way of World War III, based on knowing us and knowing our leader, Vladimir Putin. This is what they said on TV. So this is how they think, or at least some of them. This is the problem here. And the real problem here is if you're the president or if you're one of the other countries or if you're Ukraine, or if you're Putin, how do you get out of this? How do you end the war? Think about this. How do you end this and get out of this? And I've seen a lot of comments saying, "Oh, the U.S. has just got to send a sniper in there." Well, first of all, Russia's, Putin's probably deep in Russia, thousands of miles in there. It's not like exactly you can just, send a team in there. First of all, if they get caught, then what? World War III. You can't exactly do that. There was an assassination attempt on Putin recently. You can see here, this was about 2 weeks ago. Putin's car attacked in an assassination attempt. That's, that was interesting because, that wasn't somebody who was like caught. His limousine was hit, the left front wheel was attacked, and the limousine was driven to safety. And you kind of think about Hitler. You go back, if you've ever watched documentaries about Hitler, the same type of thing happened. But again, Hitler was never really taken out. The whole war went through, and then we all kind of know what happened. But basically, the whole war went through, years and years and years went through here. But we are starting to see stuff like this. So, but you got to be careful we don't provoke World War III. And in this case, it's nuclear war. This is very serious stuff, guys. This isn't just fear mongering. This is very real. I mean, these are stuff that's actually happening right now. And Putin's making very real threats to the world. And the White House is responding. I mean, you can see it right here. The White House says the Kremlin has been warned on nuclear weapons. So the White House directly and President Biden are directly responding to Putin's nuclear threats. So the president and the White House, Congress, they're all taking this very serious. So you let me know your thoughts here on this. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Hopefully this comes to pass in a good way. It passes and we're able to amicably end this war at some point. It's been over 6 months. Let me know your thoughts on how that will happen. Even President Biden said a few months ago that he doesn't see an out for Putin. He doesn't see a way for this war to end at this point. That's the hard part for me, is I don't see a way for the war to end yet. How do you see Putin ending the war? Now, a way the war could end, this is actually a way I see, is that Russia could take over this territory and then be happy with it. Ukraine wouldn't be happy with it. But that is a way it could end, is if they just take over this territory and then that's that. But Ukraine wouldn't be happy with it. But if that is left to hold, that could be a way to end the war. But Ukraine's not going to be happy with that if they're just left to give away thousands and thousands of acres of land. That'd be like Russia taking thousands and thousands of acres of Alaska. If you watched my previous video, you know that Russia's actually threatened to reclaim Alaska as well, because we bought Alaska from Russia back in the 1800s. This is how crazy Russia is. So imagine if they tried to reclaim Alaska, which they've actually threatened to do. I know this is what it's like when you're dealing with crazy people. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I'll keep you up to date here. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the bell icon after you subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos, and I'll keep you up to date. You can click here to see my brand new video on SNAP and pandemic EBT money. And here is my newest video on an announcement for seniors. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.